USC football officially has a losing streak.
But we're winners because we have a brand new show. Sports Scene starts now. Welcome to the Annenberg Media Center. I'm Keely Eure.
And I'm Rachel Frain. The USC football team is getting ready to welcome the undefeated Arizona State Sun Devils at home following the Trojans' latest loss to Utah on the road. USC allowed a game-winning drive in the final minutes after being up 21-10 in the third quarter.
Despite the loss, redshirt freshman Sam Darnold shined in his first start at quarterback. Darnold completed 69% of his passes, the highest percentage in a Trojan quarterback debut.
Star wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster had his best game of the season, leading the team with 8 catches and 98 yards. But even these great performances have little meaning when the end result is a loss.
The team is now 1-3, which is their worst start since 2001, the Pete Carroll era. After making it to the Pac-12 championship last season, losing is not something these talented players are used to.
It hurts a lot, but you can't just sit back and just think about it. We know that you got 7, 8 more games ahead of you. So, as a grown man and as a professional, there's no time to be sad knowing that you got a whole nother future of 8 games in front of you.
USC will look to right the ship and add a second win to their record when they face Arizona State. It'll be a tough task, though, because the Sun Devils have scored nearly 49 points per game en route to their 4-0 start.
USC will have to worry about ASU's strong offense, but there is 2 sides to every story. The Trojans will also get the chance to exploit their defense. The Sun Devils have allowed nearly 35 points per game, so Saturday will likely be a shootout.
Been extremely impressed with them offensively, especially in the Cal and the Texas Tech game. Have several offensive weapons, and one of the things that stands out to you immediately is their up-tempo offense, the amount of plays that they're putting up, 80-plus plays a game.
That high-scoring offense is powered by 2 dynamic running backs and their quarterback Manny Wilkins, who's like a pseudo running back. All 3 have at least 200 rushing yards each and have combined for 14 touchdowns. After giving up almost 200 rushing yards at Utah, USC will once again have their hands full. But obviously, we're not ASU experts, so let's go to Rachel, who's with a special guest.
Joining us this week to preview the game is ASU beat reporter for the State Press, Stefan Modrich. Thanks for joining me, Stefan.
Glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
All right, let's get into it. So ASU is a high-scoring offense this season, and we're well aware of their powerful running game. But, what else has really fueled their attack this year?
Well, it's a number of things. They've got some great contributions thus far from freshman wide receiver N'Keal Harry, so he's a new name to watch out for sure. Then you've got a guy like Tim White, who's dynamic on special teams and in the punt and kick return game. They've got a tight end in Cody Cole, who is a reliable option. So there's definitely a lot of factors there that have led to their offense stepping up.
Right, you actually mentioned N'Keal Harry, and I know he's a freshman. He came in really hot, but how did he affect the team so quickly? He really got in there really fast.
Well, I think one of the main factors is his size. Just a guy as tall and as big as he is. He can really kind of get physical and high point the ball and battle with defensive backs and even in double coverage sometimes. So he's really kind of not quite at a Jalen Strong type of level, but he's sort of become that kind of guy thus far in the season.
Right. All right. Well, let's jump to the other side of the ball. So USC is Sam Darnold making just his second start. How do you think ASU's defense is going to approach the game on Saturday, knowing that he's just making his second start and he really is coming out quite hot?
So I don't think that the quarterback change will change up the game plan too much, though. Todd Graham has definitely said that they'll have to account for Donald's mobility a little bit more, but they've been used to practicing against different styles of quarterbacks with Brady White playing for the second team at ASU. So they've been able to mimic some things on their scout team and kind of account for that. But some of the defensive playmakers I would say are Layu Mokiola, who has played a little bit at safety and also at linebacker. And then you've got a guy coming in like Jamarcus Rose, too, who has made an impact so far.
Right. And, I know you've seen a lot of interceptions, defensive scoring this year. Could you tell us a little bit more about your secondary specifically?
Yeah, certainly. So Kareem Moore has emerged as one of the standouts of that group. He's been playing against the top receivers for the opposing teams thus far, and he's grown a lot and matured under the new defensive backs coach T.J. Rushing, who played at Stanford and under Dwayne Aquina. So he's really made an impact on that group. And then Armand Perry, who returned after missing all of last season and redshirted after an ankle injury, he's stepped up too big time and has given them some stability in this secondary.
Right. Okay. So we've covered the offense, the defense. I've got one last question for you. ASU has been really high scoring this season. We all know that. Do you expect that trend's going to continue on Saturday? And what are your predictions for the game?
I think if they can get into a rhythm playing on the road in their first Pac-12 road game, I think that you could see some jitters from Manny Wilkins, who was only making his second Pac-12 start. But he's played well so far, and I think that if he can get going, then I certainly think that it could be a high-scoring game. And if I had to make a prediction, I would go with USC 35, ASU 30.
Oh, all right. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us today, Stefan.
Thanks.
All right,
take care.
Yeah, we'll see you at the Coliseum Saturday.
Sounds good. All right.
USC's 1-3 start have many questioning some of the coaching decisions made by Coach Helton. Here to help me introduce a brand new segment called Agree or Disagree is Paolo Uggetti and Jack Safon. Thanks for joining me, guys.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, let's go into our first decision. After a quarterback battle that lasted into fall camp, redshirt junior Max Brown was named the starter. But just last week, Coach Helton decided to change the offense around. They needed a spark, and he made Sam Darnold, redshirt freshman, the starting quarterback. So after Darnold's successful debut against Utah, do you agree or disagree with Helton's decision?
Personally, I disagree.
I agree.
Okay.
Well, the reason why I disagree is because the offense, Max sort of got an unfair take. Two of his first three opponents were against top 10 opponents. Obviously, Alabama and Stanford are two of the better teams in the country. And the reason why it's unfair to me is because Max wasn't the reason for the team's struggles. The offensive line could have played better. The defense let up a lot of big plays. And Helton making this decision in this fashion just sort of scapegoats Max and makes it seem like to the world that he's the reason for the team's struggles.
Okay, you're definitely right about Max not being the sole reason for USC's offensive struggles, but the thing is that from the beginning of the season, it should have been Sam Darnold's job. With Sam in there, as you saw against Utah, the offense moved with a lot more rhythm, a lot more pace. It was a lot more successful. He got the ball to Juju Smith-Schuster more. It was just an entirely more successful offense, and I think that's the offense USC wanted to run from the beginning. But because Helton stuck with Max, they weren't allowed to do that, and now they had to go back and right or wrong. But I think that it was the right decision in the moment because you had to give Sam Darnold the job at this point. He gave the offense a spark Helton wanted. We'll see how this continues to go into the season, but I think in a vacuum, that third week decision, though it was kind of ill-advised, it was the right one.
So in your mind, is Max the starter right now? Is he still going through the whole season?
Max should have been the starter if you ask me, because most of the throws that Sam made in that game, I thought Max could have made, and I thought if T just opened up the playbook in that fashion for Max, he could have been more successful. Okay,
we got another decision. Another decision that Helton got some heat for happened more recently. Against Utah, USC elected to punt on 4th and 3 from the Utah 37. There was less than 6 minutes left in the game, and the Trojans could have theoretically ended the game if they converted on 4th down. But this is not the first time that Helton has been criticized for punting on 4th down this year. 2 weeks ago against Stanford, the Trojans decided to punt while in Stanford territory, despite being down 3 scores with only 9 minutes remaining. So guys, do you agree or disagree with Helton's punting decisions?
I think this one's easy. I disagree.
Disagree.
Explain yourselves. Okay, let's hear it.
All right, well, first of all, against Stanford, it was bad because you were down 17 points and you needed some kind of points in that match. There was no reason to punt. 9 minutes left in the game. The only chance the team was going to have to get back into the game was if they went for it. So that one is more nonsensical to me. But against Utah, it cost them the game. So I think the one that was more costly was the Utah one because it gave Utah the chance to come back and basically just engineer a 90-yard drive that gave them the victory in the last minutes.
See, while maybe the Utah game decision was more costly, I think the Stanford one was more egregious. Like you said, they were down 3 scores with only 9 minutes to go. That's a situation where you need points. But against Utah, I definitely disagree with the decision. And the reason why is because USC's offense was rolling. They were averaging a bunch of yards per play. Justin Davis was rolling, and the defense had let up a bunch of scores in a row. If they'd been able to stop Utah's offense a little bit more throughout the second half, I understand punting because it is hard to go 95 yards to get a game-winning score, but the defense just hadn't been able to stop Utah. So
right, exactly. After the game, Clay Helton said, I trusted the defense, but the problem is he didn't really look at the context of the game, which was that the defense was not playing well. So I think that if he would have taken all those things into account, he should have gone for it.
Well, here's another question. Another decision. Helton keeps doubling down on his punting decisions. He doesn't really go, you know what, we shouldn't have done that. He's very firm in his punting decision. Do you agree with this stubbornness that he has?
See, for that one, I'm definitely agreeing because
Really?
I understand the reason why he's got to back his own point. Like, there's no reason while he gets hurt in the media by backing it and doubling down, like you said, if he had gone afterwards and said, yeah, maybe we should have gone for it, the media would have crushed him for saying, then why didn't you? If you knew that was the right decision, they would have crushed him either way. So for me, I understand if that's what he thinks is the best decision, then he should stick with
But
that.
I think that he gains some kind of credibility if he says, I went back, looked at the tape, and I definitely should have gone for that play there. Like, it shows you that he's learning at least, and he's looking back and, like, looking at specific mistakes he's planning not to do. Because I think if he would have looked back at the Stanford game, that fourth down play with like, oh, maybe I should have gone for it, then maybe the Utah thing would have happened and USC would have had a win.
Okay. Well, we're running out of time. Last decision against Utah, running back Justin Davis averaged 12.6 yards a carry.
That's a lot.
But he only got 1 carry on the team's final 2 drives. USC has a ton of offensive weapons, especially at running back. Do you agree or disagree with how USC is using all their weapons?
Can I go 2?
Okay.
Let's go 2.
Okay. Let's hear it.
See, for me, I definitely disagree with the lack of usage of Justin Davis. He had 10 carries for over 126 yards, so even with the fumble, he was really playing great in that game, ripping off huge chunks, so not giving him any more carries in the final 2 drives was obviously a poor decision. But at the same time, USC does have a ton of talent at the running back position, so using all the different guys and keeping the different guys fresh is definitely a good strategy. Just in this particular situation, I think you should have given the ball to Justin Davis a little bit more.
I think I agree that you have to use up all your talent, as much talent as you can. But the thing is, I think USC doesn't know how to use that talent. So the problem is when you're trying to get everybody involved, you don't really have an offensive identity. People get lost in the shuffle. And like Davis should have been the guy carrying the ball in the fourth quarter because he had the best game. He's the veteran leader. There's no reason why a rotation system should trump a player's current performance inside a game.
Yeah, I mean, we agree on that. I think that Justin Davis should have been the guy used in this situation, but overall, I think it is good to keep the guys fresh and mix them in because that way there isn't one guy just getting all the work and sort of tiring out, as there could potentially be a problem there.
That's true. All right. There's always so much more to debate. That's all the time we have. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. You can catch Clay Helton and his decisions on Saturday when the Trojans take on ASU.
For the number 23 women's volleyball team, 2 players are playing strong at the net. Juniors Nikki Withers and Jordan Dunn led the team against UCLA and Washington. I'm here with Jodee Sullivan to break down some plays.
Hey, Rachel. So, like you said, Withers and Dunn did lead the team in both of those 2 matches. Withers went ahead and picked up 23 kills in those 2 matches, and Dunn posted up 6 blocks. In the 2 matches, Withers really dominated from the opposite, which is her home base position. I'm going to play that we're about to break down in a little bit. She'll be standing on the outside, which is really important and shows kind of her developed as she's gone through these last couple years in the program. And Withers has racked up a bunch of kills recently and actually now has the 2nd most kills in the program with 111. So let's take a look at her first play. So you have her here. She's going to get the set from Peaches Agola, and she's just going to cut that cross court and get a quick kill for USC off of first point. And so here in slow-mo again, you're going to see Elise jump up, and then Withers is going to just turn her body and get that cross-court kill, taking the blockers out of the situation. All right, so you saw it in fast play, a little bit in slow-mo. Now let's break it down from some screenshots. So you have it here. This is kind of the set before the play. You have Elise Pizzasagola, the setter, right here. She's jumping. She's ready. You can tell, UCLA can tell, that the ball is going to be set to Nikki Withers over on the outside. One quick way that you can kind of tell, you have Elise Ruddins over here in the middle. There's no way she's going to get this set. And the UCLA blockers do know this. They have the ability, they're already cheating to get that double block on Withers. All right, cool. So you have it here, Nikki Withers. She's at her highest point. The UCLA blockers are not at their highest point yet. So I said UCLA had the advantage a little bit before. It's now switching to USC because Nikki can just get up high. She's inches and inches over the net. So you have her here. She's got that fully extended arm here. She's at her highest point. She's just going to snap her wrist and really cut it cross court. Another thing, I drew over it a little bit, but she's opening up across this way. This way. So, you know, from the way she's standing, the way she's kind of jumping up, twisting her body, she's going to take out the UCLA blockers out of the defense and out of the situation for UCLA. And you have it here again. She hasn't even hit the ground yet. The ball's over the net. It's over here, not even anywhere near the UCLA blockers. And it's just going to keep its trajectory going down. And it's going to hit this UCLA player right in the chest, in the face. Not 100% sure because the ref's in the way. But it's a great kill all around. It's a first point kill, which is something that the USC team has been really pushing for this season, because if you can get your kill off of serve receive, you're completely taking the other team out of the situation.
Right, and really, like you said, it's incredible to see Nikki get up that high, and she's always cross court, which is just something that's absolutely necessary for volleyball. Let's go ahead and take a look at the play again in full speed.
Yeah, so you have her here, and it's so fast, and it's clean, and it's just an immediate kill. It's really a great all-around play.
Absolutely. All right, Jodee, I know you have some other plays picked out to show us. Let's take a look at another one.
So I talked about Jordan Dunn a little bit. Dunn is second on the team with 37 blocks, but she has the highest average with 1.23 blocks per set. She redshirted last season due to an injury in her back, and she's kind of getting back into the swing of things. She didn't start off right away. She's played in 16 fewer sets this season than USC's leading middle blocker and the player that she's also tied with. So I think we should take a look at one of her blocks.
I love that.
So you have her here. This time it's serve receive on UCLA's side, and she just solo block, jumps it up, and just completely stuffs UCLA's middle blocker. You have it again, slow-mo. She has this ability, she's reading. It's a near perfect pass from UCLA, which is almost guaranteeing that middle attack. Jordan reads it perfectly and just stuffs her.
Right, incredible. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at it.
Let's break it down a little bit.
Slower motion than that.
Got some screenshots. So you have it here, serve receive for UCLA. This is their right back over here, near perfect pass. Let's just take a look quickly right here at UCLA setter. She's standing home base, right side of the net where she should be. All is good. All of her attackers are in place. And for the most part, all of USC's blockers are set up correctly. Now, like I said, this near perfect pass, I swear, their setter didn't move. That's huge for a volleyball team. If you can get that perfect pass, or that one pass, as some coaches like to call it, you're almost always going to run the middle. And Jordan, being smart, being a junior, she knows that that middle blocker is going to get the ball. She's already kind of crouched down, ready to jump up and block that middle blocker. You see here also, not necessarily the most apparent when you're watching it through the play, though, you can see, is their middle blocker takes the most aggressive approach, which is a really easy tell in terms of a volleyball team of what player is going to be attacking the ball. You have the opposite over here. You can't see the outside hitter in this portion, but in the video full screen, they're not really in the play. Let's take a look one more time. All right, so both players here, highest point. This is actually post block. If you can see her angle here, she's getting inches over the net, just taking away UCLA's middle blocker from her ability just to get the ball over the net. And smart on Jordan, she posts up really high and is going to keep, the ball from really just the middle blocker getting it over the net, which is huge defense. She had a really smart read, and it is a solo block, which is extra impressive because it's just two arms versus you have four going when it's a double block like we saw with the Withers play. And it's just really all around a great defensive play by Jordan Dunn. That's why she's picked up so many blocks in fewer sets than the rest of her teammates.
Let's go ahead and take a look at this one more time in full speed. There she is with the hit and the block straight down. Just incredible play by USC.
Definitely.
Thank you so much for joining me in studio today, Jodee. The women of Troy will need strong play from these two, but Keely is with another player right now that will need to step up as USC takes to the road this weekend.
The USC women's volleyball team is gearing up for their first conference road trip, but before they leave USC, I'm joined by senior middle blocker Elise Ruddins. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. So the volleyball team started off 0-2 in conference play. What is the team's mindset right now? How are you going to fix those losses?
Well, we're still kind of trying to put together our team, like different pieces together. We have a few people out, so we're kind of trying to see how we're going to play without them right now. And we also, a really big thing for our team is staying in rhythm. Volleyball is all about rhythm. So, Nick emphasizes always talking with our setters and always talking with our passers to make sure we're all on the same page. So I think that's a really big deal for our team, especially for this weekend. Also just making sure we get a good pass, and then our setters taking care of the ball, and then of course the hitters finishing the play.
And finding that rhythm, was that hard because you lost one of the starting setters, Bailey Johnson? Was that hard finding that rhythm of a new setter working into the mix?
I wouldn't say it was hard. I mean, we have 3 really great setters, and we work on the rhythm a lot during practice. We'll kind of have breakout groups and have our setters work with all of the hitters, which is really awesome. I don't think a lot of teams can do that, and I think it's really cool for us to be able to really use all of our pieces, especially during practice. So I mean, we're definitely a new team, but we've been making the most of it, I think, so far.
You go on the road, 2 tough opponents on the road. How are you guys preparing for that?
Yeah, we play Colorado on Friday, and then get on a flight Saturday, play Utah Saturday. So I think, like, for us, just making sure that we, know their players, stay on top of our preparation, which is really important. Having good practices this week. We already had 2 really great practices, so that was really good. And yeah, just kind of staying on top of everything, making sure we have all the little pieces kind of together. If that makes sense.
Yeah, for you personally, you're kind of like the utility person. Well, you're a middle blocker right now, but you weren't always a middle blocker. What's that like, transitioning the positions you played over the years at USC?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was really fun getting to play all the positions, kind of getting a taste of each. So freshman year, I started out as a right side, an opposite. And then sophomore year, I had to pass, which was really crazy. It was really fun, though. And I played outside hitter, which is very different from right side. And then last year, I made the switch to middle blocker, which is just a totally different position. But I mean, it's definitely been my favorite so far. I like how fast-paced it is.
How do you think you've been able to handle so many position changes?
I mean, for me, it's each position is a new challenge, and you kind of just have to take it as it is, and however I can help my team out is kind of like, I don't know, that's how I feel like that's been my job, is kind of wherever the coach needs me, like, that's where I'm going to be. I'm going to try to get out on the court and help my team out.
And you're not the only Trojan in your family. Your aunt actually she was a setter on the team earlier. What's that like, carrying on that Trojan legacy?
Yeah, it's really fun. Actually, before every game, we have like the All-Americans kind of in the hallway before we run out of our tunnel. And her picture's up there. So every game I go and I tap her picture, like, for good luck. And I mean, she's been definitely an inspiration to me and my sisters, and I mean, our whole family, I think. And she'll send me a little good luck text, and she'll come to our games and support. So, I mean, it's definitely been an honor to be able to like carry on the Ruddins name to SC.
That's so cool. And we actually found out before this interview, we actually played each other in volleyball in high school. But how would you say, as a player, you've improved from high school till now? What's the growth been like?
I mean, it's totally different. College volleyball is a totally different monster. And I mean, the coaches here have been so incredible. I mean, like I said before, like, I switched positions, and that could have been a lot harder than it was. And, the coaches were there, like, giving me all this insight and really helping me kind of go through that transition. And I mean, they're working their butts off. Like, we're trying our best to, kind of listen to what they're saying and apply that. And I think that's been like a huge help, like having really like supportive coaches. Definitely. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you.
You can catch Elise and the rest of the women in Troy Friday in Boulder against Colorado at 7.
With a 4-0 shutout of Arizona this last weekend, the USC women's soccer team cemented its name in the history books. The team's win was the 7th straight via shutout, which is a new school record. In fact, the women of Troy haven't given up a goal since the 66th minute against Long Beach State on August 26th. That's over a month ago by my count, and such a long time ago that you might be wondering, what in the heck was the world even like back then? Well, let's take a trip through time, shall we? What a time it was back on August 26th, 2016. The sun was shining, the birds were chirping, and USC's secure Wi-Fi server was still functioning like a back alley dumpster fire. But the similarities to today's world just about end there. August 26th was a point in time in which, for one thing, USC's football team was still undefeated and ranked. In fact, head coach Clay Helton hadn't even named the team captains yet. Wow, how the times have changed. The past month was also marked by another record-breaking streak on campus as well. For the 136th consecutive year since being founded 136 years ago, USC is once again the nation's unofficial leader in construction projects per capita. With an aggressive early semester offering of dangerous demolition projects, road closures, and ear-splitting sidewalk drilling, USC is once again spicing up daily commutes for students around the campus. And speaking of spicy, President CL Max Nikias has had the sauce on Instagram this month, posting 69 times since August 26th. From 30-mile joyrides around the San Gabriel Valley to sky view shots of newly erected campus buildings to what looks like one of the classiest ribbon fights you'll ever see, President Nikias has certainly had quite the stimulating month. If you would have told me a month ago that the USC women's soccer team was about to rattle off 7 straight shutout victories, I don't think I would have believed you. Of course, if you would have also told me that Tim Tebow was about to be a minor league baseball player, or that I was going to gain 3.5 pounds even though I cut my Nutella intake by a jar a week, I probably would have laughed you right out of the Taco Bell drive-thru line. But that's the beauty of the present moment. We can't predict the future, nor can we ignore the past. We can only look at what's in the here and now. And with that, I think it's worth it to take a moment to appreciate just how great the USC women's soccer team has been in the past month.
The number 2 USC men's water polo team moved to 9-1 overall after being handed its first loss of the season this past weekend. USC dropped to a close 10-8 game to conference foe Cal while being on the road in Berkeley. However, the team was able to bounce back with an 8-3 win on Sunday over number 4 Pacific in the 3rd place game of the Mountain Pacific Invitational. The Trojans are part of a newly configured Mountain Pacific Sports Federation that has witnessed 6 teams leaving and the addition of Penn State Brand. USC returned 8 All-Americans from last year, only one of whom is a senior. 2 of the All-Americans, junior drivers Mateo Morelli and Blake Edwards, have combined for 32 goals for the Trojan squad, that is averaging over 14 per game. On the other end of the pool, junior goalie McQuinn Barron has been holding down the cage for the USC. The Cardinal and Gold are allowing just under 14 goals per game. But it's not just the veterans and the All-Americans that have made a splash in the pool. Freshman Matt Myers snagged his first career accolade as he was named the MPSF Newcomer of the Week after posing a goal in every game that USC had during the Invitational. USC will return to the Yutang Zoo Aquatic Center this weekend to kick off a 2-game home stretch against Pacific and Pepperdine starting Saturday at 1.
Hey guys, I'm Hannah Ng with this week's Ask an Athlete. I caught up with USC men's water polo goalie McQuinn Barron. Let's check it out. All right, McQuinn, you ready? You have 60 seconds to answer as many random things as you can.
All right, let's do it.
Favorite restaurant?
BJ's.
Celeb crush?
Miranda Kerr.
Most embarrassing moment?
I don't know. Next.
Least favorite food?
Broccoli.
Best pickup line?
Ooh.
Oh. We'll say that one again. We'll let that out. Best pickup line?
Are you a pirate?
Why?
Do you like your parrot on this stroller or that one?
Oh my gosh. If you had your own reality show, what would it be called and why?
Following the Baron Bubble? I have no idea.
That's interesting. I like that. Who's the biggest diva on the team?
James Walters.
Really? Why is that?
His nickname's Princess. I don't know.
What is your favorite Winnie the Pooh quote?
Oh man, I just had one. Like weeds are flowers too.
What?
Yeah, Winnie the Pooh.
Interesting. And what's your favorite sport besides water polo?
Baseball.
Why is that?
Because I want to play.
Interesting. We'll see about that one. And what's your favorite dance move?
I'm not going to do it.
You have to.
I'm not going to do it.
What is it?
I don't know. Dab? I'm not dabbing though.
Just one.
I'm not going to do it. My coaches are watching.
McQuinn Barron, ladies and gentlemen. Check back next week to see who gets to be selected for Ask an Athlete.
Former USC linebacker Sua Cravens has first professional interception on Sunday, and it came in a big moment. Cravens sealed the Redskins' victory over the Giants by intercepting Eli Manning with under a minute to go. Both current and former Trojans took to social media to congratulate the rookie. Current offensive lineman Zach Banner and linebacker Michael Hutchings both tweeted about Cravens, saying, "That's just what he does." The 3 players were teammates from 2013 through 2015. Former Trojan safety Gerald Bowman wasn't surprised at Sua's success either, adding, "That boy good. I see you out there, but honestly not surprised. That's what you do. Ball." Another former safety and one of Cravens' former teammates, Dion Bailey, joined in on Twitter as well. Bailey gave big props to Cravens and told him that he sees his success on the field. Even Trojan linebacker and 3-time Super Bowl champion Willie McGinnis weighed in, tweeting out, "I guess the Redskins defense don't care about Eli's history under 2 minutes. I see ya, Trojan Sua Cravens." The second-round rookie is already making an impact in the NFL and in the Twitterverse. But for more on other former Trojans playing in the pros, let's go back to Keely and Rachel.
Thanks, Aaron. This past week in the NFL brought a lot of talented Trojans into the spotlight, from veterans to rookies. Fresh off his senior year at USC, rookie starter Cody Kessler of the Cleveland Browns had a solid debut, throwing for 244 yards.
Meanwhile, Nick Perry of the Green Bay Packers had 7 tackles and 2 sacks, while Everson Griffin of the Minnesota Vikings had 3 sacks in his game.
Keely, I actually heard that Sua Cravens and Cody Kessler are supposed to play each other this Sunday.
That's pretty crazy. Do you think Sua might intercept Cody? Does that friendship get ruined?
Guess it's going to be a battle of the Trojans.
Oh,
we'll see.
Well, that's all we have for our show this week. Watch out for our rapid reaction after ASU on Saturday.
Thanks so much for tuning in, and be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. We'll see you next week.